so like I said, this is my rough draft of the big talk. I have about the first, I have the beginning and I have the conclusion. My body is what I'm kind of like working on right now, and so I guess I'll just start with the opening. What do you want to be when you grow up? One of the first questions I remember being asked as a child where I actually sat and thought about my answer, which is what I thought was articulated well, but that's besides the point. If you were to ask a child back when we were kids what they wanted to be when they grew up, a few common answers would be a firefighter, a nurse, or a police officer. Now, when I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a farmer. And no, it wasn't because I grew up in northern Indiana where there's a ton of farms. And no, it wasn't because in preschool we went on a field trip to a farm and Ben Barfeld dared me to eat a piece of grass, and I did it. It was because of this. The original Little People's Fisher-Price farm toy. Okay, it was actually because of this. The modified, remastered Little People's Fisher-Price farm toy. I included the first slide because somebody in the audience might say, well, actually there was an original version of that toy. No, you get my point. If you were to ask a child now what they want to be when they were a child, you might still get those similar answers such as a firefighter, a nurse, or a police officer, but you might also get something like this, a YouTuber. Okay, so that's my beginning, what I wanted to do. Then this is where I go into my stats about YouTube, but I was kind of playing around with the theme of how this looks. I didn't really like it, but I just didn't know if you had any design tips you could give me.
I mean, from what I know, I don't know. It looks. I mean, I guess it depends on what you want to go for everything else, but it looks clean right now. So
yeah, I was trying to go through a minimalistic look, but I'm not very good at design. The reason I chose all these were because they looked like toys, which is they all kind of match, and I kind of like the reds because it matches the YouTube. So in this part, it's just going to be a bunch of slides with figures. At this point, I wanted to talk about so kind of like a brief history of how YouTube started to where it is now, mainly being the types of videos. So I would probably say something like, at first, YouTube started as just a video sharing platform where people shared videos of their cats doing things funny, that kind of thing. And then now I'd probably break down the types of channels and how much money they're actually making. And I kind of wanted to talk about the salaries made on YouTube by these YouTubers, and not just the main ones. Are you familiar with YouTube? No, okay. Not just the main ones, these huge comedians or these huge gamers on YouTube who make millions of dollars. Mine is pretty much the family channels, and then I'd give a background of family channels are. It's a family that vlog a daily video of their life and their kids, and these families are just they're making millions of dollars off of being a family channel through advertisements, brand deals, that kind of stuff. So then I was going to go into kind of describing, and I have 3 video links. I just need to figure out how I'm going to incorporate them in the PowerPoint. I have 3 video links of 3 examples of how these family channels are exploiting their kids on camera for money. And in Hollywood, there's the Child Protection Act, which covers how long kids can work. Their parents have to be on set, they have to go to school for a certain amount of time, that kind of thing, and how the YouTube Terms of Service doesn't have anything like that. And then my conclusion will be, Hollywood child actors have breaks. While the system isn't perfect, there's still rules implemented for them. Whereas YouTube child actors, they work around the clock. It's detrimental to child psychology, and these kids don't get a break. So, okay. So that was kind of the thing, and I just hesitated. Like I said, I'm just not very good at design, and I was trying to sketch it out. I just didn't like how it looked. But I have the 3 video clips I wanted to include, and I thought, I don't know, just kind of, do you remember the thing we did in class, her friend, the guy speaker?
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of wanted to do, how he made it, a personal anecdote at the beginning, and it was funny, and then it kind of got serious. That's kind of the thing I was going at, telling the story of what I want to be when I grow up, what I wanted to be, and how kids nowadays want to be YouTubers, and then I kind of thought, did you think that was appropriate?
No, that's definitely true, especially because I work with kids all the time.
Yeah.
The fact that like I was working with children last Monday, and this couple came in and they were teaching the kids like about scuba diving, and they pulled up their YouTube channel or whatever.
Okay.
And the kids were like, "We're watching a real live YouTuber!" Like they were so excited. And they were like, "That's what I want to do." So like it's such a real thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And that's kind of what I wanted to go for. Is like, we're asked, what do we want to be when we grow up? But these kids who are like YouTubers are already somebody by the time they're born.
Yeah.
And so then this is the example. I think I wanted to include real screenshots of this. So, for example, I guess we can kind of maybe turn this on.
Yeah.
So, for example, this is a family channel. This is an example of a family channel. So, they have over 1 million subscribers, almost 2 million. This many followers on Instagram. As you can see, it like depicts a very like happy family. Like they're just showcasing like trick-or-treating, like from Halloween, their kids, at the pumpkin patch, getting ice cream, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So then, my whole point was how, on the outside, excuse me, these family channels look so wholesome and excellent and brand friendly, and they're making millions, when this is an example of a video clip titled, or a video, one of their vlogs, titled, "What Did You Do to My Bed Sheets?" And they found their youngest daughter, like, cutting, getting into the scissors, cutting their bed sheets, and this was included in one of the happier vlogs.
Let me tell you something. Look at me. No, you look at me. Look at Mama. If you cut one more thing in my house, I'm going to take the scissors, look at me, and I'm going to cut its head off. Grandma, you're so mad.
So that's like something included. Okay, so that would be my first example. Another one would be, I didn't mark this up, I'm sorry. Another one that I wanted to include, and I'm going to have to like download the videos just to play that.
Yeah.
Because you know how finicky the classroom technology is.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, another example would be, this is another popular YouTuber that got almost a little over 1 million subscribers. This was, filming their kids out playing in the rain.
Oh, honey.
You notice still filming instead of going to help.
Yeah.
And that video has almost 12 million views. And then my third example would be, what happens when, like, where do we draw the line when it gets too far? In Hollywood, if the Child Protection Act, with YouTube Terms of Service, we don't. So this is an example of YouTubers Daddy05, who had almost 1 million subscribers, and they were like a prank family channel. And this is when they decided to prank their son Cody by putting like invisible ink on his bedroom floor and acting like he did it. And I'd probably warn her, like, there's some coarse language.
I didn't do that.
What the hell is that? What the hell is that?
What is this?
Cody!
Tell me. I didn't do that. Tell me what you did. I swear to God, I didn't do that. Oh, I made a part.
Yeah.
Dang.
And then I mentioned that family actually got 2 of their kids taken away by CPS. So then I kind of wanted to use these 3 clips as like an emotional response, because it's like it shows what's happening.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my idea. So we can see 10 minutes, so we have 40 minutes.
No, I think it's a really good topic, and I like where you're going with it, especially bringing the fact that you're trying to like highlight something that a lot of people I don't think would think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good. So in the beginning, like how you wanted to like do that personal antidote into kind of like getting into your topic. So I don't know. I would just make it a little clearer, like kind of like start off more of a story.
Okay.
Kind of. So like, I gotta get up and.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So
and this is totally a rough draft, so just
yeah,
because I'm like kind of lost on how to do it.
So, I think he needs to see my face. Hello, Ashley. But growing up, we all were asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, what I wanted to be wasn't a firefighter, or it wasn't a police officer, it wasn't a doctor, or, you know, the things that kids want to be when they grow up nowadays. I actually wanted to be a farmer. The reason I wanted to become a farmer wasn't because we took a class field trip to a farm and I got there to eat the grass and stuff. It was actually because of this, the Fisher's Price, whatever it is. Be like, but of course this isn't the model I was referring to. This is in case, and then like kind of add your joke.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I thought it was funny. It was kind of a way to lighten the mood a little.
That's
more.
what I thought.
But kind of started, so it's like one fluid story. I feel like instead.
Got it.
I don't know. It was good,
Okay.
and I think just fluidity
Okay.
would be better. And I also can help you stretch it out if you're like trying to create more space, or you can shorten it.
Okay. I just didn't know if that was appropriate because, like, it's a very, and I kind of talked to Ashley about this, like, it's a serious topic, and I'm more of, like, the class clown.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know if I want to do it because what if people, like, start laughing? But she was like, well, why don't you just do what the speaker did, start with a personal, funny story, and then
get into something serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought using the video clips would make it, like, serious.
Yeah, and I think, like, you're starting off funny, and the purpose behind these YouTube videos are to be funny.
Mhm.
But in reality, like, it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
Like, the underlying issue is very serious. And so,
Yeah.
like, especially using your strength of being funny and being that class clown, and then, like, and it's kind of going to be a shock when, like, oh, everything shit is a little more funny, and then once you get into that serious tone, everyone's like, oh, shit, I got to pay attention.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that, like, is an issue that needs to be addressed.
Okay. Okay, awesome, thanks.
No problem.
And then, yeah, so as far as that, did you think my, like, structure of how, okay, the personal story, good, and then talk about, like, kind of the statistics, like, the brief history of YouTube, like...
Yeah, I think that works, especially for, like, I don't really use YouTube ever. I just know, like, if I need to look up how-to videos, things like that, like, I know that's, like, the helpful portion of it.
Okay.
But then, like, especially the content and the different channels and what people are actually looking for nowadays compared to, like, what it kind of was in the beginning.
Cool. And then my conclusion would just be the comparison of the CPA in Hollywood to YouTube. Okay. I'm just kind of struggling, and I know you said you're not good at design.
No, I didn't.
But I'm terrible at it, and I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I know how to,
but yeah, you're just trying to figure out what works best, and then how you're going to be able to do this over the entire presentation and keep it looking.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, well, I want to stick with, because I think it's really important for me to include those video clips.
Yeah.
Okay, well, YouTube's background is red, white, and black. So I was like, okay, I can include red, white, and black on the other slides.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, I was like, oh, maybe I'll take out those little cartoon characters and just use words, but so I don't know. I just want it to be serious, and part of me is thinking, like, maybe I just will kind of start over, because I just feel like the little cartoons were not serious.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think. Because, like, for me, I'm not, like, I don't like using PowerPoints that much. Like, so for me to actually have to use them more so, then, like, I've been learning a lot more to use them. And I just, like, I'll put up, like, words. I don't really tend to use pictures, I guess.
That's smart.
But, I mean, I feel like with yours, it's helpful to kind of, it can be helpful to use them. Yeah. I think with the story, though, if you do with the fluid story, you don't necessarily have to have that visual aid for it. You can include it to show the Fisher's Price set and stuff. And I think you don't have to put those characters in there just because it's one fluid story. And if, like, with the words you're using, you can kind of have them picture it.
Okay, that's a good idea. Actually, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, because I was stressed because I was like, okay, I want to use those pictures because I think it makes the joke funnier.
Yeah.
Of the set. And then I was like, okay, because I don't know, I was just trying to think, and I was like, all right, things I need to include in this visual aid. I need to include the videos. I need to include the pictures of the set just because it makes my joke funnier.
Yeah.
And probably statistics. Those I can color to those two.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
And then I think like with the story, it kind of makes it helps like drive the joke.
Mm-hmm.
I know because and I kind of do stand-up comedy. I'll do it every once in a while. But one thing is like having a fluid story and then like knowing when the funny part is and being able to enhance that and just like kind of making it so it can relate to people in the audience. So like with that, we all kind of had that question: what do we want to be when we grow up? And then like taking a second to give them time to like kind of reminisce about it, like just a brief pause and then continue to go. For me, I didn't want to become like, and then you can continue with it.
Okay, cool. Okay. What did you think? Did you think those video clips were a good idea?
Yeah.
I think they're powerful, but I could be wrong.
I think it really depends on how you introduce them and the order that you use them in. So I would say using the one where they don't go and help when she falls off the bike. That would be a good first one because it's kind of the lesser of them.
That's what I thought.
And then ending with the ink one.
So
that was very. I felt really bad for the kid, and like that was kind of what you're going for.
Yeah, I just feel bad because I don't want to like include those because I know they're like very intense videos, but like
it's something that it strengthens your point.
That's what I was kind of thinking. Okay, that's a good idea. I'll switch the order. That's a really good idea. Yeah, I was thinking of setting that up, being like, what happens, because section 1 before, I'm looking at my outline, the section before those videos is talking about the salaries, aka the money in Hollywood for child actors compared to the money in YouTube for family vloggers. And the point of it being is that there's a fraction of what's in Hollywood in YouTube right now because it's just, you can just make so much money, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking of kind of setting up those videos like, but what happens when we're putting our role as a parent and protector of a child aside for money. Something like that, I don't know.
I think something good for that would be, and just like on a serious note, not saying on a serious, but just like showing the clips and everything, and then the tone of your voice making it, I don't know, like, because like you're just a fun person like that, and like you can tell that through your voice, and just making it like, so what happens when what happens when we take making someone laugh over the safe, not only the physical safety but the emotional safety of our children. And just, I don't know, just like you can, like up to that point, like you can make it seem like it's going good and like this is kind of like one thing, but then once you start getting ready to show those videos, kind of like like vocally take a step back and just like, I don't know, get a more serious tone. I would say. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that like totally works. Okay. Yeah, and so like I said, so do you think there's anything else where, I know you're not like super familiar with YouTube, but does it sound like there's any holes with the structure? Because I was going to do, introduction, personal story.
Yeah.
Segue into YouTube. Background information, like brief history on what YouTube was back then, what YouTube is today. Break down the salaries or how much money is in this specific family vlogging on YouTube versus the salaries of child actors. And then that would go into section 2, which is what happens when we making somebody laugh, at jeopardy of our physical and emotional well-being of our families. So there are 3 things. And then the section 3 is really what I was going to like hit the main point of. Hollywood has the Child Protection Act. YouTube has its terms of service. Like, there needs to be some kind of regulation in YouTube. And like Hollywood's not a perfect system, as we all know, but it's a start. So yeah.
I think something to emphasize would also be in Hollywood, the scene ends. In real life, it's not a scene. It's something that like their parents are yelling at them. It's not, oh, this person's your fake dad, like he's gonna be saying this to you, this is how you should react.
Yeah.
But the kids don't know, like they're just, to them this is all real. And then also another thing is like so with child development until like the age of like, so they're technically in a like a pre-operational stage, from my knowledge of like ed psych or whatever it was. But like until the age of 7, they're like in the stage where they don't always understand like other people's perspectives and stuff. They're very they're, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word, egocentric or something. Okay. So like we did tests with kids, and so you'd open up a jar of Play-Doh, or you'd ask them what's in there. They'd say Play-Doh. You open up the jar and it's paper.
Yeah.
And then you have someone else come into the room and you ask the child, oh, Kat wasn't in the room when we opened it. What do you think Kat thinks is in the jar of Play-Doh? They'll say paper. And it's kind of the younger it is, because they don't understand that, oh, they weren't in the room, so they don't know that it's not Play-Doh.
Oh, okay.
And so like a child's not necessarily going to understand, oh, this is just a video. We're not actually mad at you necessarily. They're not taking it from the, I don't know if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, no, that's actually perfect.
But they're not taking it from the sense like, oh, like, this is just a video. I see the camera. This isn't necessarily real. Like, or even if it is, like, it's so real to them because it's their own parents doing this to them.
Yeah.
It's not like there's cameras and lights and all this Hollywood stuff. Mm-hmm. It's them and their parents.
Okay. And you said that's until like the age of 7?
Yeah, the age of 7 is kind of when they go into, so it's pre-operational, and then I think it's like operational, or like concrete operational, and I can look it up, and here, I'll look it up quick. But
I can look it up. It's really fun.
Okay. But yeah, until the age of 7, it's kind of like they're more egocentric, and of course it just depends on the kid as well. But like, it's still like a thing where they don't always understand. Like, oh, this is just for like a video. Yeah. This is my parents yelling at me. Like, I don't know.
Exactly. No. Okay. That's actually good. Yeah, because I was thinking of playing around with some like psychology themes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because during that like coaching session we had in class, when we like went around the room, a few people were like, "Oh yeah, there's been like psychological studies done on child actors and how like a lot of them will turn to like drugs and alcohol when they're adults because they like don't know who they are.
Yeah.
They played somebody their whole life."
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the thing is that really no research has been done because it's like happening right now.
Yeah.
And not many people are aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
The first time people were really aware of this was because of that third video I showed you. That family, that was the stepmom and the dad. The birth mother saw it and contacted CPS and ended up getting the son who was in on it and his sister taken out of the family, or taken out of the house. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, YouTube kind of responded and put like a check mark when you upload a video if your video is being monetized for advertisements. Like, oh, are there kids in this video? Make sure you're following our guidelines. But like, that family was still on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Now instead of Daddy 05 kids, it's Family 05 because they have 3 kids now, but kind of the 2 parents, that's still 5. And so they just now finally like took them off of YouTube fully, but still they were making thousands of dollars because a majority of YouTubers get paid $2,000 per 5,000 views. Mm-hmm. So,
and a significant amount of money for just uploading a video of them yelling at their children. Or,
exactly. Yeah. And then other things like, who was watching this?
Yeah. I don't know. I think because like with and maybe touch on like Hollywood, they have to go through so many approval processes for different things, and that there's also child advocates agents and parents and stuff, but working to make sure that all of it follows guideline. With YouTube, it's emphasized, it's checking a box.
Yeah. And
really like showing like the difference between like, oh, there's so many different avenues that if a film is abusing a child, like psychologically, emotionally, like whatever, however they're like not following the rules, then like that's easier to like stop. Versus this where, oh, like, yeah, we did this once for like 10 minutes. Like it wasn't anything. Like we checked the box. Like we were following your rules. Like there's no way to really enforce that.
Yeah, and I feel also like I feel like a reason a lot of there have been some studies done on YouTube because it has been around for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
13 years. Yeah, it's been around for almost 15 years. They have done some studies on it, and like one of the studies I thought I might kind of mention, maybe if it falls in, is how those in Hollywood, so like people like who actually work for real, like TV shows and movies, look at YouTube stars or internet celebrities as like below them.
Yeah.
Even though they're making the same amount of money, and even though they are different audience, but they are as recognizable, aka like household names. Like, do you know who like the Paul brothers are?
Sadly.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Logan and Jake Paul. Like,
yep.
They're internet/YouTube celebrities, yet they're making the same amount of money as these Hollywood actors, and they're sure, maybe like your grandparents or parents won't know who they are, but kids, this youngest generation, who are turning to YouTube more than cable TV.
Yeah, they're all. I feel like YouTube reaches more of an audience than one movie does, or like a series of movies. Like, depending on the quality of the film, though.
And like they have movies about like dog. Okay, like a movie with the dog. Like if they mistreat the dog, PETA's gonna be all after them. And that, I guess I should probably include that, like the child advocates. Like these people, know what's going on. But YouTube, it's like such a it's such a small blimp on the entertainment radar that people of actual importance don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But it's such a large audience that it should be. Because there's so much money in it. So, where are we on time?
Should be around like 27 minutes.
Oh.
So,
okay.
We got like 23 minutes to go.
I could try that story again.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Should I use the PowerPoint or should I just try and go?
Try it without the PowerPoint. See how it feels. Then if you want to incorporate the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Do you want to try it with the clicker thing so you don't have to go back?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
We'll do it. Okay. Let's try this.
And were you wanting to start with that on the?
No, I just don't.
You're good then.
I'll just start here.
Okay.
So let's see if I can do it like you said. Okay. Wait. No, you said not to do that. Okay. I'll just try that. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, when I was a child. Okay, wait. Oh, now I see.
So.
How did you say to do it?
You can ask that. You can start with that question.
Okay. I just feel like I wanted to start with that question because it reminds me of what I'm doing, which is really stupid. But
what do you want to be when you grow up? That was a question that was asked a lot of us when we grew up. What do we want to be? What do we want to do with our lives? For me, I didn't want to be a doctor.
Yeah. Okay.
Go into that.
What do you want to be when you grow up? One of the first questions I remember being asked as a child, as I'm sure we all remember too. When I was a child, I didn't want to be a doctor, a nurse, an astronaut, a firefighter. I wanted to be a farmer. And no, it wasn't because I grew up in northern Indiana where there are plenty of farms. And no, it wasn't because when I was 4, my preschool class took a field trip to a farm and Ben Barfel dared me to eat some of the horse feed, which I did. It was because of this. The original Fisher's Price Little People farm set. Okay, it was actually because of this. The remastered Little People's Fisher-Price farm set. If you're wondering why I included the reference to the first version of this toy, it was because just in case somebody in the audience is aware that there was a version of this toy that existed, and I didn't want to seem like a fraud. Something like that. And then I would say something like, if you would ask a child of the youngest generation today what they want to be when they grow up, you might still get those common answers like firefighter, doctor, astronaut. But you might get something like this. A YouTuber. And then that's what I would watch.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was definitely like did it feel like it kind of went more together?
It felt much better, to be honest. I think I think you've kind of got it key. I think it's the minimal slides. Because when I was making this this weekend, I was like, I'm on the 12th slide, and it's just for the story.
Yeah.
I think less is more. You're right. I forgot that. Okay, cool.
Also, just in case you, for me, it's mainly I forget that I have a slide, so I try and just keep it like to the points that I do it. I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like when I have so many, I forget what's included on the slide, and then sometimes I feel like it's so vague. I'm like.
And like my thing is like what rings in your head. So like my dad, he's a pastor, and so like when growing up, like I would like do the PowerPoint at church, and he would just have points, and half the time he'd be telling a story, the point would hit, and so like it kind of went with it, and like it wasn't like oh this and this and this, but like at every point it was like something that you like needed to know, and like it was the picture was there to help, or like the whatever was on the slide was there to remind you to kind of like later on, like because you hear it and then you also see it.
See, and I get so caught up because I like came into this class knowing that I wasn't very good at design. I like came into this class thinking like, okay, like I'm a decent public speaker, but when it comes to design, I'm really lacking. So I'm going to try and overcompensate.
Save for design.
And then I just like become a worse public speaker because I forget what my point is. So maybe that's good because I think I don't know, like when you make your PowerPoints like for the previous speeches. Like didn't you just do like a word? I feel like yours was like very good.
It's thank you. I'll do a word, and I can show you mine for like this upcoming speech. Like
okay, let's see it.
It's for something
all
else.
of a sudden I have the same topic of you.
Here it is. So it's literally just it's because it's talking about. It's just like the quote, two things, or like one, like just little stuff, and like the goal for me is just emphasizes what I'm trying to say. Like it's just reminding, like this is it. Like I don't know.
That's a good idea because I was thinking like, okay, what if I put instead of these characters, like what if I put like like when I say like a statistic, what if I just have the number on the screen and like then I could remember it, but I don't know because I think you did that for your Pacha, like the 4 or something. No, you did.
I think. Wait.
You did like vaccine.
Yeah, that's what I did. I did the number, and then I would explain what that number was. So like it was.
That was a good idea.
And I think that's something for me that helped me. Like I can memorize words and stuff. Numbers are not my thing. Yeah. So like having that number there, if I knew what order it was in and everything, so I knew kind of. But like if I can't remember the number, then like how am I supposed to give it? So if that number's up there, one, it was just a reminder to me in case I forgot. But
okay, that's a good idea.
I don't know. I like. For me, less is definitely more. Yeah. Because whenever I did like in speech class, I never used a PowerPoint ever. I would like, if I was talking about something else, I'd bring in something and like physically show it. So I talked about like the bro bib, like that was what I was trying to sell, and it was like a bib for your suit. So I actually brought one in, and I like poured marinara sauce all over myself to be like, see, like this is and like I don't know, for me, I don't like visual aids as much, like. When I speak, just because it throws, like, I have to, like, oh, crap, I have to remember to do this. And it throws me off personally because, like, I like that fluidity. Just kind of, like, I can just kind of get everything said in one sweet motion.
And I feel like also, that's actually really going to help me a lot. Because I feel like when I see pictures, like, okay, when I see, like, a memorable picture, like, okay, this or this, I know that's, like, that, what that is. But when I see, like, this, I'm like,
you're like, what's my point? What am I trying to get at?
Yeah.
What's that one question I wanted to ask?
Yeah. So that's just kind of like, it's hard. But okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to scrap it. We're going to like just try again.
Just try again, yeah.
I wish over Thanksgiving break I would have brought my 2 toys home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then that would have been cool.
Then you can like bring them in, yeah.
Because I just feel like the picture kind of ruins the aesthetic. But do you think it's a good idea to include it?
Yeah, I think it can be. It depends on how you present it. Really, like, I think it works well with your joke. Like, well, this is the reason why, because it gives someone something to like imagine.
Yeah.
And I think that like with comedy and stuff, like it makes it funnier if you're actually able to picture what's happening or what's there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess I just get so always caught up on, oh, my design's not great, and oh, the overall aesthetic doesn't work. But then when you watch like all these big TED Talks, which we're supposed to do for the class, they're like, stuff is not designed well.
Yeah.
Like they don't, in the sense of like they don't have like, you know, bullet points and the like stereotypical PowerPoints, but it's really just a lot of like this kind of stuff and this kind of stuff and like one word or two words.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's just what I struggle on.
For me, when I present the PowerPoint, it's a visual aid, and it's not to aid the audience half the time though, but to aid me in remembering where I'm going. So because I get off on tangents a lot, I feel like.
Yeah. And
so it's just like bring it back to this, bring it back to this. Like you gotta stay within this. So it's like it's guidelines for me, but then also like it helps, especially like with visual learners and things like that. People who can see it and remember it.
Okay. Yeah. And then what I think I'm gonna have to do is I think I'm gonna just because like the technology is another thing that always gives me stress in that class, just because that computer like
it's the quality isn't.
And like it's just so finicky, and I'm always stressed like, oh my gosh, what if it doesn't work? So I think what I'm gonna do just to be safe is just download the 3 videos, chop them up just for the clip I want.
Yeah.
And put them in.
I think that's the best because you can put them in your PowerPoint that way. So then you're not worried about having to go somewhere else to get it.
Well, and I was thinking of doing Prezi because Prezi's like easy that way, but that always like never works either.
Yeah.
So, okay, what's the time check?
37. We got 13 minutes.
Oh, 30 minutes. Okay.
Do you know how to download it?
Oh yeah, I can do all that. Cool. It's just like extra work.
Yeah.
But I just feel like those are really important to include.
Definitely.
Yeah. So okay. Well.
I'm trying to think of what else we're supposed to cover. So, encouragement. You've been doing great.
Thanks, bud.
No, and then like I think how you did the story the second time, like I think it really works for kind of what you're going for, and it helps you I think with like the fact that like you're not having as many slides. It's like condensing it down for you as well.
Yeah, because I feel like then it's just me like I want to be, or like I feel like it takes away from the natural story. Like I want to be a farmer. Like, oh, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Or like you know what I mean. So
I want to be this, and then it kind of takes the attention away from what you're trying to get because they're like, oh, I need to see what's happening each time on a screen.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of like a way you could introduce the videos, but like, because you said you're going from the story to talking about what YouTube, like how YouTube has changed over the years and what it is now, to how much money there is within it.
Do you think that's a good idea to put the money there, or should I put the money after the videos? Because it's okay. Introduction, personal story, background info, YouTube then, present info, YouTube now. I
think the money. So I wouldn't focus a lot on the money. I would just kind of be like, this is how much an average, like this is how much you can make per video or whatever. Like this is like kind of the range of what people make. And then maybe talk about this is how much an actor makes. Compare the two of like off of a video, which you can put like you can like do a video each week. You can make this much like.
Okay.
And this is how much per movie. Normal star would make in a movie, and then put the time frames of like how long it takes to do each.
Okay.
I suggest.
Yeah, I guess
something.
I was kind of struggling because the money thing was like, I guess I could, but I feel like I don't need a big section on it. Because I think the first, so the story is good. I think the background info on YouTube then to YouTube Today is important. Then I was thinking like maybe not. Like move the money thing. Maybe include so YouTube Today, and then I can include like the screenshots of like that Instagram that I showed you. Maybe I could include like, here's what these YouTube families. Here's 3 examples of the YouTube families. Like these are their social media stats. Wait, I just got an idea. Okay, wait. Tell me if this is a good idea. What if I did personal story? YouTube back then, YouTube today. here are 3 examples of popular family vloggers. Define what a family vlogger is.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 examples will be the 3
videos.
The 3 people. So I'll pull up their social media.
Yeah.
And then I can mention how much each make.
Yeah. I think that's good.
I feel like that's a really good idea. Okay, and then I can talk about how, you know, these families are so successful, but I don't know how to transition. I think that's what I want to do, but I'm like, okay, but how do I go from talking about how successful they are
to
look at how they're exploiting their children?
I wouldn't even say, here's clips from some of their videos.
Mm-hmm.
And let the video say, like, this is what they're doing to their children, and then, like, so, just so I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So you talk about
Mm-hmm.
this family, they make all this. Now let's look at some of their videos. This is from them. And don't really, like, allow time in between them.
Okay.
Just like, this is this one, this is this one, this one. And then go into, I don't know.
Should I pull good clips too? Because each have good clips. Like, oh, here's Chad getting his braces off. Here's Julie's first gymnastics meet.
I think, because at least with the Instagram page you showed me, it makes them look already like, oh, clean and wholesome and, like, awesome. Like, oh, they really love their kids, and then, like, I'm gonna cut off your stuffed animal's head.
Right. Yeah.
It's like that speaks for itself, I think.
Okay.
And so, like, on the outside, like, it looks like this, but then they do things like this.
Okay, but then they do things
So,
like this.
and then I would also. So you start here. They look like this.
Okay.
When you go to the videos, I'd walk across, or, like, I would move.
Okay.
So then you're getting to that. This is the good part. Now this is what it really is.
Okay.
And so, like, when you're introducing maybe the first video, just be like, this is Daddy 05. That was the only one I remember. But, like, going into that, maybe to, like, this is the good part about it. This is when we get into things where it's a little less, I don't know, a little iffy.
Okay.
So, like, try and separate. Like, I think creating that separation between what looks good and what looks bad will, like, really, like, kind of impact people a little more. Like, they won't, of course, someone's going to really, like, be like, oh, man, look at that distance. But,
but still.
It's the distancing it from the good part.
And I noticed, like, you do a really good job of moving around the room, and I always get nervous and, like, I don't want to, like, move. But I feel like I just should, like, be cool.
I don't know. I think, like, once it's just secretly be pacing. But
yeah.
I think it's, if you can, it's also a memorization technique, for me at least. When I memorize stuff or I'm working around stuff, like, movement helps me. So if I'm able to, when I practice speeches, like, I'll practice it 3 times. And I can, like, I'll normally, like, kind of have what I want to do, and then I'll just practice, like, I won't look at it anymore or anything. I'll just be like, let's go, and I'll work on, if I don't like how I say something, like, if I don't like how I move with it, I'll just restart. Like, I can say it perfectly, but if I don't like how I'm, like, if it's not a good hand gesture or something, I'll just scrap that and just do it again until I like. The movement for me is big because, like, I'm a very animated person in my actual life, and so I don't want to be robotic when I speak. And so, like,
do you like the idea of, should I do the family's Instagrams, or should I find, like, good clips? Should I show, like, 6 video clips instead of 3? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I just don't want people, because...
I think I would try it with both, see where the time is. Whatever, like, if you need more time, then using those videos would be good. But also think about, like, I'm showing you this video, and I have to explain it, like, explain everything. You're not showing the picture, explaining it while they look at it. It's that kind of, like, the break in it.
Okay. And now that I think about it, all 3 of those channels, they're, like, Instagram accounts feature, like, a video preview. Not, like, the actual video, but, like, a picture.
Yeah.
Saying, like, Julie got her braces off today, Chad's first basketball game. So I could be like, okay, this family, the 8 passengers YouTube family, these are some of the pros things that they do. But let's take a look at one of their videos titled, Eve, you cut my bed sheets. What happens when they find their daughter? Click.
Yeah. I think that's good. Because it doesn't really stop you from doesn't really stop you from that movement. Like
Yeah.
you're still able to kind of like flow, chug along, you know.
Yeah.
And then like.
Do you think it's bad that I'm like am I technically taking those videos out of context?
You can't. I think like especially with that kind of stuff like.
It's like pretty.
It's pretty like it's not the rule. I mean, it doesn't set a rule or an exception.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, this is like, someone could argue, this is probably just a one-time thing, but if you're able to pull up more stuff,
Yeah.
then like, I would reference that too. Just be like, this isn't just happening once, but like with the whole CPS thing, you can talk about, it's not happening one time. It got to the point where their mother took them like.
Yeah. And like those two like nicer families or whatever, like their kids didn't get taken away, but they got their videos were briefly demonetized, meaning they couldn't make money off of them until they cleaned up their content. So so I guess I'll mention that. My last thing that I'm a little worried about is that I'm accusing people of abusing their children.
And that's like so a big thing with elementary ed and stuff is like you never know what someone's life is like in real life, and we don't know like if this is a serious thing. We don't know, but it's important, even if it's not a serious thing, to highlight it and say maybe they're not actually abusing their children, but that's just one example. We don't know if someone sees if a dad sees this and it's like, oh, I do this for my kid all the time, I'm gonna make money off of it, then it can like, again, it's not, this isn't the rule, like not every family's doing this, but it's not the exception either. Like.
Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, because I was a little bit worried that she'd be like, not she, but like.
But someone's like, are you saying they abuse their kids? I think as long as you define like, this isn't everybody. This isn't like, and maybe they're not actually doing anything, like they're not psychologically or physically abusing their kids.
But it's exploitation.
But yeah, and then other people can get ideas off of it as well. Like, if they think, oh, they made this much money off of yelling at their kid, imagine what I can do for really yelling at my kid.
I guess another thing is the whole like, what other part? Yeah, okay. I think that was pretty much it. Good?
No, I have 3 minutes left. Or 2 minutes left.
Okay. Well, I guess the whole, what was I about to say? Do you think that there's like, my idea is like valid? Like there should be some kind of, because I feel like the evidence.
I think it is.
Okay, because I think the evidence I give is like pretty damning evidence for like the why there should be some kind of regulation. And I guess I should maybe also make sure to mention that like I'm not arguing that every family, that one kid shouldn't be allowed on YouTube. I'm not arguing that. And two, I'm not arguing that these families these examples should have their children taken away. I'm just emphasizing that child exploitation can hide behind these types of accounts or these types of channels, and there needs to be some kind of guideline or some kind of guideline to regulate, to figure out a way to change it.
Yeah.
Like maybe something like I don't have the answers, but
this isn't an answer. This isn't a solution. This is just
bringing
awareness to it.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I think like as long as you're just saying like I'm not trying to solve, like I'm not like trying to give you the way to solve it, but I'm letting you know that this is an issue that needs to be solved.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
We got 30 seconds left, so
I
think it's
thank you for being my coach. I actually,
no problem.
at first when she was like, yeah, you have to do this assignment, I was like, what am I going to learn? But I actually did learn a lot, and I'm actually really excited for this now.
But when I got it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to actually help anybody. So it's good to know that I was of some value.
I think
Okay, fine.
Yeah, and just, we're good?
We're almost